right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m., December 30th. It is my 13th year of being married. Wow, I'm getting old, as is evident by the gray in my beard and the silver hair, which is why I have a big bright light shining on me so you can't see all the gray. I hope everyone is doing well. As always, today's video du jour is After Action Report Cities Without Number by Kevin Crawford. This was a Kickstarter reward. I received it. I believe I did an unboxing, or I opened it, and I got to tell you, I enjoyed it. Put my microphone over here a little closer so I don't fade in and out when I cover my face up with the book and you can't hear what I'm saying. Really well done. I already talked about the book and the pros of the book, and there's not very many cons. It's laid out really well. I like the game a lot. We got to play it Thursday night, and I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Mark, David, aka David, Cosmic Flux, aka Mark, and Golden Buddha, aka Alex. We all played. David ran. He did a phenomenal job running the game. It was a real quick, kind of a smash and grab. My guy and Alex's character were pretty much almost identical. We made pretty much the same character. I focused more on throwing knives, although I could shoot, because in the game, it's, if you don't know, it's a, I don't want to say it's an OSR, but it is a light, derivative light version of D20. And but instead of rolling a D20 for your skill checks, you roll 2d6, and then you add modifiers and bonuses, and hopefully you meet the target number. And target numbers like I think it's 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 are your typical target numbers. So obviously 8 or a 10 can be kind of difficult on a 2d6, especially when you're looking at bonuses of, I mean, I took a benefit that gave me a +3 to one of my attributes. It allowed me to increase my attribute to 18, which is the max you can go. And I chose my dex, so that gave me a +3 bonus to any dex related skills. And as first level characters, unless there's one foci you can take that gives you a +1 to your combat stat, you're at +0. All your skills are at -1 if you don't take them. The first pick you take in a skill gives you a net 0, and then if you take a second pick in that skill, you get it at a +1. And you get, on average, if you're lucky, 3 to possibly, I think 5 is the max you can get during character creation of skills. So you can open up a skill by removing the -1 and making it a +-0, so net 0, which means you take no negatives when you roll that skill. And again, you're rolling on 2d6, looking for a target number set by the GM. Typical target number is 6, 7, 8, 9, with 10 to 12 being really very difficult. Because again, rolling 2d6, so bell curve. So what I like about the game is low numbers. Not a lot of math involved here. Very simple. 2d6, I'm not a huge d6 fan. Everybody knows that. But I did enjoy this system. There's a number of D6 systems that I do enjoy. I enjoy GURPS. I enjoy all of the age games from Green Ronin. I enjoy Worlds Without Numbers, or What's Old is New, Worlds Without Numbers. I enjoy that one too. Number, no S's on the end, as Mark keeps telling me. Also, I enjoy Blood Iron, one of my favorite Jay Farrell games from Farrell Games Inc. There's a lot of good D6 games out there. I'm just not a fan of a lot of them because I don't like huge dice pools. I don't care if it's D10s, D8s, whatever. I don't like that. And typically a lot of your larger dice pool games, the first one that comes to mind is Shadowrun, of course, where you're rolling 15 D6. Battletech, same thing, same lines, made same company, Catalyst Games. Not to say it's a bad system, it's just same reason I don't like D&D. If I was given the choice to play Worlds Without Number or D&D, I'd take Worlds Without Number every chance. If I was given the choice between Blood Iron and Worlds Without Number, I would take Blood Iron every single time because I think it's a better game. But Kevin Crawford is a phenomenal writer. His stuff is very crisp, very clear. He has a definitive idea. I don't know if he's got anything left in his arsenal because he's done fantasy, he's done sci-fi, and he's done modern now. What's the cities, which is basically a cyberpunk game, but you could run it as a modern game. You could run it as a cyberpunk game. You could almost run it as pre-hard sci-fi if you wanted to. The other cool thing about it is in the back of this book there are rules to incorporate the other two without number games, stars, which is your sci-fi setting, and then worlds, which is your fantasy setting. Um, what I really liked about it is the game really flowed. We had one section where we had a little miscommunication on the rules, but that was not a fault of the game or a fault of like the layout of the book or anything. The book is a little. I will say I'm not a fan of the layout design of the book. I wish it was a little more tighter. I think character creation should flow, and I feel like you're doing a lot of flipping back and forth here, especially when it comes to figuring out your skills. It is a little cumbersome. It's not horrible, and it's easy enough to get past. And once you've made one character, it doesn't matter what genre you're going to play in. The process is pretty much the same. There are a couple of things that cities introduces that are not in stars or number or world that are in cities, but it works really well, and that's the trauma die. And I could be wrong. I don't play enough of world or stars to know for sure, but I don't believe there's a trauma option in those games. And in this game, because you're using handguns and they're pretty deadly. Combat in any of the number games is extremely deadly. You don't start off with a lot of hit points. My guy was pretty much what I would call a tank, and I had 4 hit points. 4. And my pistol, I had a heavy pistol, which does 1d8. So you can see where if someone shoots me and they roll really high, I could get a trauma. And then you have a trauma, and the mechanics are, I don't want to go through the mechanics. It's not the point of the video. The point of the video is the after action report. And did I enjoy it? Did the players enjoy it? Well, we enjoyed it so much that I think when they're done with their current Fate game, we're going to play this some more. I probably won't be able to make every games session just because I run a lot of my own games and I run a YouTube channel and I'm a husband and a parent and yada yada yada. So, but I do look forward to playing again. David is a fun GM, and of course, getting to play with Mark is always a lot of fun, and Alex, of course, both really good players. Had a lot of fun. I am a very disruptive player. I am not a good player, and I know this. That's why I GM. You play to your strengths and your weaknesses, right? I'm a better GM than I am a player, but I had fun. David put up with my shenanigans. My character's name was Dane, Dane. Dane Windrun, I believe it was, or Winddown. Winddown. Dane Winddown. I don't know where Winddown came from. It's just a name I pulled out of my hat. And my tagline was, "I'm a very bad man," and I was. We were sent in to rescue a high-profile target, a child, from basically a fleshmonger. Some of these things may be triggers for people, but it's when you're talking a cyberpunk or a dystopian, you're going to deal with drugs. You're going to deal with flesh peddlers. People who sell other people, basically slavery. And so this was. I mean, you don't have to deal with those things. And David made sure to warn us. That's what the adventure is going to be about. And if it was a problem for anybody, it wasn't. We all knew that it was in the spirit of the game, and obviously none of us condone those kind of things. And so it was pretty fun. But I got in. My guy was more of an action guy, not so much of a thinker. So Mark's character was kind of playing our face. Sorry, my son is playing down here in his basement room. Apologize for that. Got to get that soccer ball. But my guy's not known for a thinker. He's more of a doer. So I went in. I got the girl. There were 2 other kids in there. Not my concern. I wasn't there to protect them. I'm not being paid to protect them. It's a shame they're in that situation. But what I did do, don't think off the bat that I'm a callous, disheartened, horrible person. I called in one of my contacts. This game has a great mechanic where you have contacts and allies. Contacts are kind of like people that you know. Allies are more like friends. Well, I kind of combined mine all into one, and I took a former special operative, Corpsec security lieutenant, who I saved his life at some point in time, and so he owes me big time. So I called him. David, I guess, made a roll in the background to whatever to see, and I guess it was a good, or I made the roll. I don't remember, but either way, they came a running when I called. And so, was it callous to leave the children in the the fleshmongers citadel? Yes, but I had called in the cavalry and told them what was going on, and so the as we were departing, they were coming in. So I feel that the children were hopefully rescued, and maybe David will tell us later. But needless to say, the mechanics worked very well. The game definitely, the mechanics fit the attitude and the flavor of the game. I felt that it played really well. It played really fast. It is definitely a game where you need to be prepared. You don't go in with guns blazing. If you do, a set of bad dice rolls could really ruin the day for you. I did a called shot. There's no real called shots in this game. You either get a crit or you don't. But what I did is I took my time. I aimed for this guy. There's no real mechanic to say you're going to shoot him in the head, but there is a thing where you can get the drop on somebody and you shoot them from stealth, basically. And that's what I did. And it has its own mechanic, and it's a very good mechanic. But if you don't do enough damage or you don't penetrate their trauma, they don't necessarily die right away. But luckily, I did enough damage to put a hurting on this guy with my heavy. I rolled very well, but I didn't beat his trauma. When you roll damage, you roll a trauma die, and if you don't beat whatever their trauma score is, which he was kind of a thug, a punk, or whatever muscle. I think he had a trauma die of 4 on a d6, which is pretty good. Mine is the same, I believe. So I didn't roll a 4. I rolled a 3. So I didn't cause enough damage to cause him trauma to make him shut down, but the GM warranted that I did enough damage to put him out of the combat, which I did. I think I did eight or 9 points of damage, and he only had like 8 or 9. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but he wasn't getting up anytime soon. He was out of the fight. Um, and so, yeah, it's very much a game where tactics, I don't want to say it's a tactical game, but it's a game where you have to use smart tactics, and you have to take every advantage you can in combat, because if you don't, it can be very bad for your side. Initiative is another cool thing that I really liked. Whoever in the player character party has the highest initiative modifier, which again it typically is either a +1 or a +2, -1, -2, or a 0, a net 0. But again, I took a certain foci that gave me, allowed me to, or it could have been a talent, I don't remember. But I took a special ability, allowed me to replace my dexterity, which at the time was a 14, with an 18, which is the only way you can get a +3 to any of your attributes, is to have that 18. And that allowed me, and Golden Buddha had the same thing. So,
Hi, Dad.
hi, buddy, Daddy's recording a video. Uh, so I let Golden Buddha use his initiative. But basically, what happens is, on the player character side, whoever has the highest initiative modifier rolls, and that is the initiative for the player side. And then the GM obviously rolls for the NPCs, and whoever gets the highest, their side goes first. Their side goes first, and it's sorry, I just got the UPS store. Okay. And so what was cool is we obviously won the initiative, and so we got to go first. And then Golden Buddha said, "Well, since you've got the drop on this guy and everything, you take your shot first, and then that'll be our signal to attack the guys outside in this situation." So everything went really well. The skill rolls were, if I'll say there's one point lacking in the game, there's not a ton of skills. It is not a heavy skill. The skills are basically a catch-all. So like, shooting guns is just called shoot. Melee combat is punch. I believe it's punch, and then fighting with melee weapons is just called stab. So whether it be a sword, a baseball bat, it's stab. If it's a gun, whether it's a M16 or a 45, it's shoot. And then there's a notice skill, which I think is, for an action combat game, it's pretty important. So I put my points in the notice, shoot, and stab and fight. Um, and I got to say, and then on those games, you roll, and you get you're obviously trying to get low or high. Excuse me, you want to get high on your 2d6. Your saves are all done on a d20, but the saves are kind of like D&D, but a little different, and you want to roll high. So and then as you build your character, when you take those saves, they reduce everybody's save starts at a 15, and then based on your attributes, you will adjust that number accordingly. So obviously, like for me, my deck save, so a reflex save for me, I'm adding a +3 to it, so that 15 comes down to a 12, which is easier to roll higher than a 12, and you have to not meet it, you have to exceed it, so you have to roll 13 or better. So yeah, but that's pretty much the only time a d20 is used. The rest of the time you're rolling 2d6, and then whatever your damage die is for your firearms, which could be a 1d6, a 1d4, 1d8. So very simple mechanics, very fast. We didn't get bogged down in the rules, I don't feel, and David told an interesting story. So all in all, Cities Without Number, I would play again. I enjoyed myself. I liked my character, David Windrun, Winddown, David Wind or Dane, excuse me, Dane Winddown, a bad man, a bad man. Um, Very cool character concept. The game let me build the kind of character I wanted. Character creation was pretty fast. I think Mark had to make his character because he didn't have time, and so they made his character. And I think it took under 20 minutes to get it done from beginning to finish, and he was fleshed out, ready to go. So the game does a good job of getting you up and running, and then as you level, and the leveling process is pretty easy. For a normal game, once you get 3 experience points, you're level 2. If the GM wants to go slow and tell a longer campaign where there's only 10 levels in the game, so the way you adjust that and make the campaign run longer is make the experience points harder. So in a normal game where your progression is normal, 3 points will get you to level 2. And in a long run campaign where the experience points are a little harder to get, it's I think 6 experience points will get you to level 2. So it's just how long the GM wants to run and how fast the GM wants the players to progress. So we hit level 2. David gave us 3 experience points. We hit level 2, and we can progress from there. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like that mechanic. Players should definitely feel the progressive movement. Yeah, here it is: fast leveling or slow leveling. So to get level third for fast leveling, we'd need another 3 experience points or 6. If we wanted to do slow leveling, we'd need 15. So quite a bit, and you figure an average game session, they quote anywhere between 2 and 4 hours, you should gain 2 to 3 experience points a session. So as you can see, you're not going to be leveling up super fast, but I do feel that it was appropriate. It felt good. We felt accomplished in everything we did, and it was a lot of fun. So all in all, if you're on the fence about The City Without Number by Kevin Crawford, I say pick it up. I think it's worth it. Get the PDF. The nice part is you can get the art-free version with the slim. It doesn't have all the world setting in there. There's not a whole lot of that in the first place, but there is enough you could run a campaign set in this world. But you can buy basically just the rules part of the book. It's about half the size of the full rule book. It doesn't give you all the setting material, just the mechanics. Like say you want to run Cyberpunk Red, but you want to use these rules, which I highly recommend. Cyberpunk Red sucks, in my opinion. Just wasn't done well, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. You can get Cities Without Number for free. You can get Stars or Worlds Without Number for free as well. if you just want the rules light version, which basically it's the same rules, it just removes all the fluff for the setting. So if you want the full setting, then of course you'll pay for the PDF, and I think it's worth it. I think it's really a good game. I'm happy to say that I own all three versions, and I do like that in the back of this book they give you the rules to incorporate magic or to incorporate the sci-fi part. So I think it's really well done. I'm looking forward to playing again. So I hope that answers your question. If you have some questions that I didn't answer, please feel free to grease that algorithm. Give me a thumbs up, subscription if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. It's much appreciated. It really helps the channel. Watch the video, put it on in the background while you're painting miniatures or whatever. Let it play if you're not busy and you just want some noise to drown out the everyday ho-hum. Patreon. I'm on Patreon. You can support me $5 a month. You get all these lovely videos. You get a disclaimer. You get a special designator on Discord, and you get first choice to any games I run. I am going to be running GURPS Dungeon Fantasy on Discord. Probably pretty soon. I'm just waiting for some books to come in. I just did a video. You can go down into doobly-doo and check it out. Discord. YouTube is going to recommend another video to watch after you watch this one. Help the channel out. Watch it if you can. As always, like and subscribe. Peace and hair grease. And remember, as always, Mr. Mean says, be nice. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll be here for the next one. Oh, I am doing another video right after this one. I am going to do one on a special little book that I got in the mail, and we'll talk about that later. So I'll upload that after this one. I'll upload that one tomorrow. I don't want to give you guys too much now. Come on. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you have a happy new year. Stay safe and sane. And as always, again, I'll say it again. Be nice.